just lonely. To me, I'm special, but to you, I'm anybody. 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 Anybody. But to you, I'm anybody. But to you, I'm anybody. But to you, I'm anybody. Anybody. But to you. But to you.
To you, I'm anybody. To you, I'm anybody. To you, I'm anybody. Anybody. To you, I'm anybody. To you, I'm anybody. To you, I'm anybody. Anybody.
To you. To you. To you.
Hello and welcome everyone to the League of Legends University Esports Winter 2023 Prize Playoffs. We are here with the upper bracket finals. I am the Mac and this is Black Bloxer. How are you today?
Oh, awesome. Cannot wait for this. Last week we got some really good games. Ex Machina looking incredibly strong, so it's going to be great to see them play again and see if maybe another team can actually challenge them this tournament.
So speaking of that other team, we do have the lads on tour, some familiar faces in University League of Legends. So I'm excited to cut into these games. It's going to be really, really interesting as well. And there's a lot to play for. The team that wins this guarantees their place in the finals. Very, very nice and calm. You don't want to go through that like lower bracket stuff. It's just too stressful. Who wants that? No one wants that.
No, nobody wants that. Having this run, especially that Ex Machina are on right now, would put you into the finals as the absolute favourites. But at the same time, if Sheffield is able to beat out Exeter, all of a sudden they are looking like one of the strongest teams that we've got. And yeah, you get a little bit of extra rest, less games that you have to play, less stressful overall. And then you get to go into that best of 5 for the grand finals, feeling refreshed and knowing that kind of whoever is coming up to try to face you is going to be the underdogs in that situation.
And I think if we're able to see the Sheffield knock Ex Machina off of their throne, because they've been completely uncontested. Really, they've been showing incredible play throughout their time in University Esports. It would set a really scare. I think it would scare other teams. I think it would maybe knock the confidence. So it might be harder going into the lower bracket. But yeah, I'd be really, really interested in seeing these games today. But a lot of what ifs, not enough seeing yet.
Yeah, gonna have to wait a little bit until we can actually see these teams. We can see the routes that these teams have taken to get here. Ex Machina 1-0 versus Bristol, 2-0 versus the Pollination Nation. That's the match that we followed yesterday, and now they're up against Lads on Tour. Lads on Tour were able to beat out Chocolate's Children as well as Ladcaster, so they've been having a really good time for themselves as well. And if you just take a look at the bottom of the screen, you've got Southampton Seraphine Stands up against Chocolate.
How do you say that?
I have no clue.
I don't even want to I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't even want to figure out how you say that.
No. Up against that team that we'll say it is, maybe referring to them by their universities either. We've got Bath versus Southampton down in that lower bracket finals. That lower bracket matchup. So whoever wins that one will go against the loser of this one, and whoever wins this one will be going on into those finals.
It's interesting to see how convincingly as well Lads on Tour have actually taken people out on their way here. It's kind of been a similar story on the side of Ex Machina. So we've got two real powerhouses up against each other right now. Now, as well, if we're looking at rank disparity, there is a slight favoring towards Ex Machina. Obviously, rank isn't everything, but I think you'll favor having 4 decently high Masters players on your team, Not that like Diamond is anything to scoff at, but it will just mean they've got more experience. And if you weren't here last week, I'll touch briefly on this. Ex Machina have a little bit of experience in the UKEL, which is a regional tournament for League of Legends outside of University Esports. And they've been performing incredibly well, and they've got a lot of like experience together against, you know, proper professional teams outside of University Esports, which makes them a real roster to contend against. It's a slight difference in variation, but definitely their addition of Drippy Darren as their not usual suspect for this team, definitely nothing to scoff at. This guy's kind of the GOAT. I think they played like a pretty strong Blitzcrank the other week, right?
Yeah, it was really strong. There was a Rel and a Blitzcrank, and both of them looked really good. If you quickly take a look at Lazontor as well, Akers, the AD carry, as far as we can tell, is the same Akers that's been playing in the UKEL First Division, ended up coming second on Ready Painkillers, so all of these players have got a lot of experience. We've seen them around for quite a while. Timatopa has gone really far as well on the Ex Machina roster across the course of the last 2 years, role swapping around a lot as well. He's now in the top lane, he's played in the mid and the support role, so the guy knows what he's doing. Both of these rosters got a lot of strength on them. For sure.
Now, Max, what are we feeling meta-wise this week? What's going to happen? Are we going to be seeing Orianna, Syndra here? Are we going to get like the average draft suspects? Do you think that we'll see any innovation, any big brain new drafts, or is it just going to be your classic esports style?
Classic esports style is, I think, mainly what we're going to be seeing. You get a lot more solo queue-esque picks during these tournaments. These players are not full-blown professional teams, so you get a lot more personality coming through. Timatopa ended up playing 2 games of Aatrox and absolutely dominating on that. We got a Lee Sin in the jungle out of Eames, so you get a little bit more of that looking to carry through your own lane style, but at the same time, nothing particularly out there. There is a lot of Ivan on Gums' champion pool, so that would be incredibly interesting to see.
For sure. I think Ivan's definitely an unusual one at the moment. Quite strong as well. Feels good. He's actually getting nerfed on next patch. I think he's been sleeper strong for a while. It's not particularly engaging or interesting champion, in my opinion. Sorry to all the 5 Ivan mains out there that I've offended.
I think he's great.
I think it's incredibly polarizing in general for the game state. I think it might be fun for the Ivan player, but I think it's just incredibly uninteractive, I think is the nice way of putting it. But yeah, I think it's definitely an unusual pick that will like shift the momentum of the game slightly if it is taken off. I wonder if it will be banned, like a little bit of respect for that. I wouldn't be too particularly shocked. No. I kind of know the way that Ex Machina adjust. I believe they said to me once, we kind of just go in 5 minutes beforehand, pick out 3 champions that need banning, and we go from there. So I imagine that Ivan might go, actually.
A true UK, let's call it second division team. You know, the kind of thing where you get in, you just know that you're better than your opponents, and so far in this university composition, Ex Machina have been. They just have been the stronger team that we've been seeing so far. The 2 games that they had last week were just stomps. Every single lane seemed to be able to get ahead, and that didn't really feel like there was any particular way to get back into it, so you know, it'd be really interesting to see once we get into this draft what Ex Machina go for, because Lads on Tour are a better roster. They have a lot of really strong players, but do Ex Machina still just feel like they can draft whatever they want, they only need 5 minutes of prep, or maybe are they paying a little bit more respect to the Lads on Tour?
I think game 1 we might see a little bit of a more lax attitude, but if Lads on Tour are able to take that game 1, I think we'll see complete shift in momentum. I can't imagine that blasé attitude will stay for long, but it's all about, you know, whether or not they can actually break through and get that initial match 1. Now, it's interesting to note that Ex Machina does have side select, so they have taken the blue side, incredibly strong, really good prio picks at the moment as well, especially in the mid lane for Eden or Akranos, who is very, very strong on your classic mid lane mage style. So good rotation of Orianna, Syndra, Azir. You generally have to ban out either like 1 or 2 of those, and I think because they've taken blue side, if I'm in the position of the Lads on Tour, I personally think you'd ban the Orianna Syndra. You leave the Azir open. You don't really play around the mid lane. But honestly, Orianna Syndra are just incredibly overtuned at the moment. And I think leaving them open would just be an insane gamble, really.
It really is, but then again, if you do ban out those two champions, you're leaving so much on the board that these players are so good at. Eames has got an insane win rate on that Evelyn, and that's one of those picks that I see a lot of teams ban just because you don't want to deal with it. You don't know where the Evelyn is at any one time. You're kind of having to ward against her camps to be able to actually track her through the jungle, and once you get later on into the game, if you get a couple of kills into the Evelyn, at any moment, if you can't see her, you just have to assume that she is right behind your AD carry, and it makes playing the game so very tricky when somebody's that good at Evelyn. Banning it out makes a lot of sense. So maybe you've banned out 2 mid laners in the Evelyn, and then you're leaving the Aatrox in the top lane. You're leaving the Blitzcrank potentially open in support. There's a lot of picks that these guys are great at, and I don't know if trying to target ban out is kind of something that you can do.
I guess one of the big parts of university esports in general, not just this tournament, is removing a lot of comfort picks. People won't be as versed and as practiced and have a very wide pool, and they might not necessarily understand, rotations and all that kind of stuff and how to actually play around this drafting phase. But if there's one thing you can do, is be really good on a character, right?
Yeah.
And we've got quite a lot of I wouldn't say one tricks. I think that's a disrespectful word. I think these people are actually good at a wider range of characters.
Yeah.
But when you've got something really comfort, like a Pike, for example, or as you said, an Ivern, an Evelyn, I think removing these picks is pretty essential for success. I think the hardest things to play around are if you have a player like that, but you also have someone who can just play that meta role, like, for example, Eden, whether or not you want to take these picks away, especially when they have that first pick available. It's a hard one. It's a really hard, balance.
It is. And with something more meta that Eden is playing, you don't need as much attention, is the thing. You're not relying on having Eames get into your lane and try to help you out as much as you are on some of the more interesting picks that you can end up seeing in the mid lane. The Akali, things like that, where you would love some jungle attention. You can make solo kills happen, but more than anything, things like the Azir, the Orianna, the Syndra, they're perfectly happy to just sit in lane, and then once you get to those skirmishes and team fights, that's where these champions really pop off, and it gives a lot more freedom to the jungler to be able to move around the rest of the map. We haven't seen lads on tour and the way that they play, but they're going to need to be really cognizant of the way that Ex Machina seem to have more members to almost every single team fight. They are good at roaming members around, getting them into these skirmishes, and having more members, especially in the early game before items are coming through, when outplayers are trickier, that can be everything when you're trying to win out on those little plays.
100%. And I wonder, because obviously you mentioned Erling Haaland, Akkers, Ruddy Painkillers, taking Ruddy out of the UKL Div 1, taking them to the regional promotional series in the NLC. It adds a real professional element to the team. It's like someone who's incredibly well versed in how to play these games, how to do drafts. And if you're bringing someone with that incredible competitive experience, and a player that talented as well, because Akkers is very good, wouldn't be in the regional promotion series if they weren't, then it kind of changes the rest of the team. And I wonder if Ex Machina's blasé attitude might kind of hold them back a little bit here, as we are seeing the first bans come through now. Unsurprisingly, that Ivern is gone.
The only thing I'd say about Akkers is if he was in the top lane, I would be a lot more scared. That is his comfort role. That's where he really likes to play. But obviously, it's university. You have to play with the players that you have. So he's not in the top lane still. As an AD carry, I expect his mechanics are going to be able to pull through. Like you said, the Ivern taken off of the board. It looks like the Evelyn might be going next, and it does indeed get taken away. These are massive comfort picks, and these kind of comfort picks in the jungle can completely skew matchups, because everybody in the jungle is used to playing against a Jarvan, a Maokai. Even a Lee Sin, that's something you play against quite a lot. Ivan and Evelyn, you don't have that much experience versus them. These are almost one tricks that these players have. Getting rid of those makes a lot of sense for both of these teams, and it could corral both into having a little bit more of a standard draft. We'll see if any more of these mid laners do get taken away, and it will be the...
I like this pick. It's just intelligent and smart. It makes a lot of sense, especially if we consider that lads on tour might ban away the Orianna and the Syndra. Akali is good into the Azir pick, which Eden is very well known for, and it's something that can kind of run away with the game as well. It's incredibly strong. I think it's in a good spot at the moment as well. Definitely one of those picks that can deal with some of these problem champions. Again, even if they leave the Syndra open, I think it still deals with fine-ish. Akali's very strong at the moment, and if you've got a good Akali on your team, then it needs to go.
Yeah, it really does. There's no reason to just give over the Akali when your champion pool is not countered necessarily by it, but like you said, does not have the easiest time with these kind of champions that just want to scale. Removing those high dive mid laners can be a really good idea. We'll see what the next set of bans are going to be, and if lads on tour are only going to take out that Orianna, are they going to leave something like an Azir available? Are they perfectly happy to leave some of those really big picks? Jack's taken off the board right now tells me that actually in the top lane, Timotop wants to play something aggressive. Jax is a great counter to things like that Aatrox, things that like to get really aggressive in the top lane, so getting rid of that can give you a lot more freedom, and you could potentially first pick your top laner if you're really confident, but that is a risk.
I think we have a lot of options here now that Jax is gone. You can like go for the Renekton. As you said, the Aatrox is nice. There's a Camille angle as well. And unsurprisingly, the Syndra is gone. So the Akali ban is beginning to make a lot of sense now. We're seeing the pieces fall into place. And for the side of Ex Machina, now they have this first pick available. Part of me is like, they won't pick Azir because to me, it just wouldn't make sense. I don't think that Azir is a particularly common champion when it comes to, you know, what mid laners play. Taking the Jarvan is very, very smart here. It is one of those priority picks that you want to pick up in this jungle position. There are people who will argue that Eames isn't necessarily the strongest on things that aren't the Evelyn or these alternate playstyle junglers like the Karthus. So I would personally, I'm not going to say how I feel. I would maybe agree with that. But I think Jarvan is very bread and butter. Every jungler can play it. Every jungler should be able to play it. And it's a really good setup champion as well for, you know, things that Ex Machina play. We see the Xayah. I think it works quite well. It's a good, you know, anti-engage. We've got Zyra Khan picked up, which means they can kind of like fight backwards a little bit. They've got like nice, you know, anti-rel. Like it's not going to be able to find a ton of value here. I'd be interested to see what's picked up on third. And now they can start looking at banning away the rest of the mid rotation.
You need to be really, really careful as Eames to not get too many of your own team caught in a Cataclysm, because that could spell absolute disaster with a Galio and a Rel. Both of these teams, it feels like, are looking for a little bit of a wombo combo, but you have the Kai'Sa on Lads on Tour that can dive in and join in with a really aggressive play, whereas Xayah, you're picking up more for the fact that it can sit back, it can absorb pressure. There is a possibility, I guess, for the Rel to not go into the support role. You could put it jungle, put the Galio support, or just keep the Galio mid and pick up another support for yourself. So the draft for Lads on Tour is not completely boxed in. I like both of these compositions, but a lot of this is going to come down to how proactive these junglers can be, especially on the Jarvan. If you don't gank a ton really early on, this does not go well.
Okay, I'm a really big fan of these bans here from Lads on Tour, by the way. The Rumble is targeted towards Timotopper, who notoriously played it in support once.
Yeah.
It's great. I think that's
with a Jarvan and a Ricard. That's horrible. If you get
What?
caught up,
What do you mean?
it's brilliant for the team who picks it. It is horrible for the other team.
Yeah, so it's such a good ban, right? It's like it makes so much sense. Removes a ton of wombo, and the Azir ban as well makes sense. You can't play safe in the mid lane. Love the Fiora ban. It's really cringe. Get rid of it. Don't want to see it in this game. And the Anivia ban as well is interesting. It's more targeted ban towards this mid lane matchup, trying to, you know, remove potential. We are seeing the Yone picked up here. Part of me wonders where this Galio is going now, because there is a flex between support mid that you can do with the Galio, also support on top you can do with the Yone. Lots of options here. And another flex pick coming through here from the Jace that can go in the top or the mid lane, both of which are open. I guess we'll see on the R5, you know, where that ends up landing. But that Jace can be played pretty confidently by both players, I'd say. So it's a good pick here, and it's very standard. It feels good as well. It's kind of nice. I like it into the Galio as well. So it's kind of prepared for every situation here.
Yeah, I like the Jace. It's just unfortunate for Ex Machina that they don't have the counter pick, so you are just going to have to pick something up right now that has to go into either the Yone. The Jace has an okay matchup as long as you do the spacing well instead. They're going to choose to have the Jace blind picked and probably have the Ahri into the Yone. Of course, Yone can also move around. There's a lot of flexibility. We'll see what Lads on Tour lock in right now to really round out this composition. You know, they've got an AD carry, we know that for sure. Could potentially not have a jungler. If you want to get aggressive, the kind of things that Lads on Tour like to pick up in the jungle has been banned. The Ivan gone, not really anything left. Mount?
That's a Rel.
That's a
I
Rel
like
jungle.
it.
Oh, that wombo combo is disgusting.
It's really nasty, and I feel like Rel jungle is also very slept on. I think a lot of people don't get it until they play it, and then they get it because it's just really
Get it.
reliable. There's good setup. If you aren't guaranteed to land your W, you can like queue in first. It's why it's even good into like counter pick matchups like Poppy, where it's not ideal, but you know it's still got good self setup as a jungler. It's good ganking, good roaming, lots of flex, and both teams just have a lot of roaming map potential right now. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah.
There should be some really good skirmishes this game.
I could see a lot of skirmishes happening for us, and it being just really exciting. You have got to get proactive as a Jarvan. Brackenspit always says that if you don't gank 2 to 3 times within the first 3-4 minutes, you're not playing Jarvan right, and I would tend to agree. You've got some really good setup in your lanes as well. Ahri with a charm, bot lane Rakan always going to be good setup, and there's something about a Jace where he maybe doesn't have the best setup CC, but you're still often able to just burst out the opponent, get enough damage down, and be able to win that one out anyway. But at the same time, that Rel, I'd say, has even better setup. Every single one of these lanes is terrifying, and if you push up too far, you're going to get ganked pretty hard by Gums, and he's probably one of the better players on this team, so it is a risk to be giving so much pressure over to Gums, but if he's able to pop off and get that snowball rolling, both of these teams have got a lot of explosivity, a lot of wombo combo potential. Ex Machina, though, they do have a little bit more poke in their composition, which might make it easier to play around these team fights.
This is one thing I actually wanted to talk about briefly, and I'd like to add on to it with the kind of lack of like range you have from Lads on Tour outside of Kai'Sa realistically. Sure, you've got a little bit of poke with the Galio, but not really enough effective range that's going to matter ever. Getting on top of these players is going to be difficult as well. Obviously, you have the Jace disengage. Ahri's incredibly hard to catch and very slippery. So is the Jarvan if he's not already commit to the engage with Cataclysm. You've got like Rakan. I shouldn't even need to explain that one. Xayah obviously has that peel. You can go the Ultimate Hunter and just have it on like 20-second cooldown.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's hyperbole. Definitely not 20-second cooldown. But it's going to be interesting to see the way that Lads on Tour play around this. They've got incredibly strong engage, but are they ever going to get onto them? It's kind of hard. And especially with this Galio pick as well. I understand it's supposed to be anti-lane, but you kind of need someone else to go in first, right?
Yeah. Rel is a really good candidate for that, or the Yone with that Fate Sealed. Obviously, there's a Malphite. That's always going to be some really hard engage, but you're not really expecting the Malphite to get involved until we get to that level 6 at least, once those team fights are really coming online. So it's going to be a lot on the Rel to find that initial bit of combo. The Magnet Storm is great in this situation, as well as that Galio Taunt, where you're just trying to get as many people into a small area as possible to just destroy them, mainly through that Yone Fate Sealed, but then Kai'Sa just on the backline, being able to deal the damage and being able to keep up with this composition. Because like you said, there's a lot of getting away ability on Ex Machina, sure, but also if everybody decides to go in, Jarvan flies in, Rakan flies in, Ahri can go in as well, you kind of end up leaving the Jace and the Xayah quite far back, which could leave them vulnerable to just being turned on and dove. These team fights are going to be really, really tricky to play out, but that's for both of these teams. When you draft this kind of high-octane, just incredibly risky composition, you're accepting that there is a level of volatility in your game, and I think it's up to these junglers specifically to be able to swing the pendulum in their team's favour.
100%. This game 1 is going to be really exciting. If you watched last week, you'll know how Ex Machina plays, but it's time for the Lads on Tour to show up. Make sure you stay tuned after this brief break. We'll be back with more exciting League of Legends gameplay.
You say you love me, say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody.
To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. Anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody.
You say you love me, say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody. 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 Anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. Anybody. But to you. But to you. But to you.
To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. Anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. Anybody.
But to you. But to you. But to you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the University Esports League of Legends Winter 2023 prize playoffs. We are with the upper bracket final right now. It's X Machina versus Lads on Tour. Very exciting game one coming in here. We've just had draft, lots and lots of good stuff to talk about, and these teams are really, really exciting. Now, I'm really keen to get into game. I don't know about you, Bloxer, but this is going to be a good one.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited for this one. Obviously, I feel the most excited for once we get to that level 6 at least. More once we get to that big team fight point, around 20 minutes when the Baron and the, second, third Drake start spawning. That's the point at which both of these compositions are going to pop off. But I think they've got a lot of work to do to get us prepared for that moment. You want to be getting a lot of ganks off as a Jarvan. Same thing as Gums though. Rel can just sit and farm, but you'd rather be able to get a couple of ganks off, get yourself into a really strong position. And Kaiser Galio, not a bot lane that we've seen in quite a while.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. Galio, a very niche pick at the moment. Quite weak, is getting buffed on the next patch. But it's definitely like a strong counter into the Rakan if you don't want to opt for the Lissandra, like some psychopaths have been doing recently. It's a shame the cheese doesn't quite work there, but we are seeing some brawling in the bot lane, just some initial throws here. Now, it's interesting they are able to actually catch something with this W, just walking up lots of use out of this magic shield versus the Rakan too. It will slowly add up, but if that initial bush cheese has gone through, it would have done a lot for this lane state. Kaiser can play quite aggro into this as well. Obviously, the feathers will provide a lot of, space for the X Machina bot lane, but Kaiser is just kind of cringe and can play very, very aggro if isolated on a target, right?
She really can. That Cathy and Ray onto a single target, especially once they get a couple of items in, but even at level 1, well, I don't know. If you take it level 1, you're still dealing a ridiculous amount of damage with it. Interesting jungle pathing out of Gums. Decided to go for the red Raptors into Krugs, which is just a little bit odd. Is going to delay that clear by just a bit. And it is going to be a split map situations where we have got Eames heading up towards the top side of the map, possibly looking to get this Jace fed, whereas on the other side, Gums going down towards the bottom side, and that could potentially be the more volatile lane, just because you've got a couple of extra champions down there, more kill gold available, but also some really good engage out of both supports.
Do you think Gums started those Raptors because it's technically the most optimal clear time? Now, whether or not that's true is
a very optimal way of playing Rel, and it really shouldn't shape the course of this game in any meaningful way. I was watching it wondering if maybe Gums wanted to head towards the top side, just because Timotopia is pushed up so far, but around about the point at which Gums was at those Krugs. Yeah, Timotopia wasn't really pushed up quite as far as he is right now, so it doesn't end up meaning anything really. The same thing bot lane though. Right now, Gums bot lane is pushing in, although big engage.
Oh my goodness. Massive dodge here. I don't know if Drippy Darren's actually going to be able to live this. There was so much damage traded there onto that from the Kai'Sa onto that Xayah, but even then, Galio able to just go toe-to-toe there. The Captain Rain doing work, and Torpedo Tim, what am I watching? Sorry, what just happened? We need replay offs, guys, come on. That was... why? Then I don't know why Yone's that far up without either... obviously doesn't have the knowledge of where Jarvan is, so would have been able to clean up regardless, but Torpedo Tim... getting caught out there, giving that first blood to Eden, who will be able to play quite aggressively with that lead now, should get a nice reset off. Doesn't have a cannon wave to come back to, has a TP sat on quite nice. The airy poke must have been doing a lot of work to slowly whittle down that Yone throughout this lane, and that's actually kind of big-ish, because look at that. You've got Lost Chapter, classic mana book on first back. That's really, really strong.
Yeah, it really is. You're in a position to absolutely bully in this lane. You always are in a range versus melee matchup. That being said, Eden has gone quite far up. Gums is around, going to be spotted out though.
Will be able to back off quite nicely and playing really smartly around where they think the rel is going to be. I think it's interesting to play so far from your line of vision, especially this is why I was about to say this. You do not have vision to be able to check this bot side. You don't have any movement left, and that is a traded kill back onto the Yone with less than ideal wave state. Ahri will miss out on a few minions and does create a little bit more pressure down towards this Drake. Now, not necessarily shoved up by the lads on tour here, but they can start it for free now that this Ahri is gone. Not able to actually, you know, move with mid pressure there. There's no bot prior anymore. And that should be a nice first Drake in the pocket.
Yeah, it's a pretty slow take out of the rel, but it doesn't really matter. Not when the mid laner has died and you've got priority in the bot lane, like you said. And I was going to say, after that first blood went over to Eden, it's great, but you still have to really be respectful of the Yone. He's one of those champions where his kit gives him just innate power. There's a lot of champions where if you're not ahead, you're basically useless. That's not the case. Boxus?
I think Boxus might be in
though.
Trouble. I don't think he has enough mana to actually kill Timotopper here, sitting on that flash to the last possible second. Not saving the Q to finish off the Jace there, instead trying to queue out for the movement speed.
Eden.
I don't think that'll work. Eden will be caught here, just a chain of CC. And this really just adds to what we were talking about in Champ Select when we say there is just so many ways for the lads on tour to get on top of you. And it really isn't outplayable either without this flash. Now, obviously, this Ahri is pre-6, but even then, can you even get the dash off in time with that CC chain?
You better predict it a little bit. Once you got the flash back up and available, that's going to be a little bit easier to play around. And I would just love to highlight Mref right here. The roaming alongside the jungler is huge. Rel and Galio gives you so much lockdown CC and has been playing this lane so effectively, roaming up on really good timers as well. If you take a look at this CS, Akaz is still absolutely fine. He is not in a bad situation at all, despite the fact that his support has been all over the map, getting kills for the jungler, getting kills for the mid lane. Akaz has just been sat here doing his own thing, and that's what you get when you get such a good player in the UK scene. And it's surprising because Lasp is not bad either. Drippy Darren, those two had pop-off performances in the previous series that we saw, and shutting down such a key lane can be just huge for the outcome of this game.
Obviously, Akaz used to playing in that top lane, used to being on that island, so not particularly surprising that they can play into that 1v2 with confidence here, but obviously has the ability to do so with the Kai'Sa kit as well. Ghost, both subs available, would be very hard for them to look on something. Speaking of looking, we are going to see that Xayah ult burn, has to respect the feathers, ends up using the Void Assault to actually Void Rush to dash by. This should be close. Galio has to finish off there, will be on 1 HP. Drippy Down shouldn't be able to clear up, not going to have enough burst damage. However, Cataclysm is available, will end up popping that just to secure the kill. It's a 1-for-1, but that Galio has 2 kills now. That is, it's not great.
Yeah, it's not ideal to be giving over a couple of kills to the Galio. To be fair, I would rather it on the Galio than on the Kai'Sa. Akaz. Oh, hang on, we're just going to watch. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's a 1v1.
And he will actually live here if he has the W, never mind. Unlucky. Yeah. Unlucky. You know what? Punishment for playing Yone. Deserve.
To be fair, the
yeah,
fact that we got that kill, despite the fact that Eden was so far under that turret, is just disgusting. Once you get a couple of kills lead on this champion, it's absolutely insane. You've not even got a first item completed, and Torpedo Tim is having a brilliant time in a matchup that he was meant to struggle into a little bit. Eden just wasn't playing respectfully enough. I think that's what we can attribute this to. Eden just stepped up in situations where he had no right to. Yone, you've got that ranged advantage. You can poke him out, try to just land those charms, full combo, poke him down, keep yourself safe, and instead decide to step way up in the lane, got ganked, and that's kind of all she wrote for this lane phase. And you don't want to fall behind as the Ahri, because Ahri brings a lot less to a team fight than a Yone does, especially in this composition. I came in with a lot of confidence for Ex Machina, but actually this wombo combo composition at a lads on tour is still working really well in the laning phase too.
Now, it's interesting as well, because I don't think this Ahri is necessarily a comfort pick here coming through for Eden. And as you said, it's very much not super helpful in these team fights. It is just a pick champion, but Yone's just kind of better at that, actually. Especially if they were able to put Eden behind, which they have, down at least a couple of waves of XP. Not great. Has like a couple of kills in the pocket of Yone. Sure, has that match now, but should lose a lot of lane priority here if they choose to play around this mid lane with Herald. Now, I've seen many jokes about playing mid lane as like a safe like caster mage means that you literally just sit under tower, but I think Eden might actually not have a choice.
Yeah.
Because they are just constantly having 3 people in their lane. It's quite hard to play it.
Yeah, you really just don't get to step up right now at all. You just have to sit there underneath your tower, hating life. Pretty much. It still is 4 for 4 in terms of kills. More importantly, the gold pretty much dead even as well. But I think it's where the gold is right now. Both of these mid laners got a little bit in their pockets, but you're just expecting Yone to do
very
more.
nice early trade there. We are going to see Last come through with that immediate.
Wow.
Hero's entrance there coming
Hero's
through.
exit.
Yeah.
Just
you know,
running.
maybe it must be like a big brain play that I didn't see coming here. Well, it got him out, so it can't be
did.
that bad.
He did not die in that situation, and it looked just a little bit risky. You've got a huge chunk of gold right now in the support gap as well, Mare.
We are going to see an immediate trade coming through, cancelling out the Galio exit.
P?
Nice Featherstorm popped. Last maybe looking for this fight still, but that is a Malphite with a Malphite or accepting death. They're trying to get as much damage down onto A because they will not be able to find that kill, unfortunately. But yeah, we are seeing Galio just with so much gold here, which is probably going to be providing a lot in this lane differential. If we look at the way he's itemizing here, it probably will be something like the Radiant Virtue, but we are going to see a really nice trade here come through from Torpedo Tim. Not quite enough damage to finish off Eden, but pops the ult, and that's a really important cooldown gone. Does look for a little bit more trading. Has the area as well, so can just poke forward a little bit, but smart enough to know when you've been defeated, looking for that reset, and especially with Galio lurking around here, it's probably not right to continue trading there.
Yeah, don't get too aggressive. Still though, surviving is okay, and when we were looking at the gold, actually Eden and Torpedo Tim have got even gold, which I wasn't expecting. I was expecting there to be a lot more on Torpedo Tim, so Eden not as far behind as I was really expecting. We've got a Cloud Drake available, not one of the Drakes that teams tend to go for too heavily, but you've got a lot of members around right now for Ex Machina. Looks like they're going to force onto this one. Full vision though.
And I like it as well, it prevents the Drake stacking, but they do have players of 4 teleport coming through from this mid laner. Yone will not be able to look for anything here. I think just playing it safe, trying to make it so it's a little bit harder to walk out. They could look for a collapse, but unfortunately it would be that Zai they want to look onto. Torpedo Tim just going wide with these cooldowns will be caught, slowly chunked down. Not going to have enough presence to actually continue going forward. And yeah, I understand the logic there by trying to look for something, but overall that's going to go towards Ex Machina, and it puts lads on tour at a little bit of a slower scaling advantage here, removing that Drake stack. But we are going to see next Drake will be Mountain. That's going to be very interesting as we see Trader Darren just miss the knock up onto the Galio here, forcing the flash out and secures the Scuttle Crab.
That could be huge.
Lots of skirmish.
Really high skirmish, which is what you expect from these kind of compositions. Sure, we talk about them as wombo combo, but at the same time, Ex Machina do have plenty of elements of a poke composition, and more than that, wombo combos in their individual elements still have a lot of engage. It can lead to a lot of skirmishes like we're seeing right here. The amount of vision around the bot side is just huge right now for the bot lane of Ex Machina. Aspen Diffby Darren clearly don't want to die right now.
Gosh.
Eden does have ults, so does Torpedo Tim.
Does he know? Yeah. Ends up choosing to back off safely. Torpedo Tim looking for that safe reset. will
what?
look for a trade. But there is a massive trade in the bot lane. Kai'Sa going incredibly low. Really nice flash timing. Dodges the actual cataclysm damage. Going deep with the Blade Storm. Ends up being able to catch him out just with that chunk of damage. Immediately flashes out. And in the meantime, Eden has got a solo kill in the mid lane. I'm not even sure how that happened. I don't even think Torpedo Tim will have got that reset off. But there's so much happening right now. And Gums has to walk to actually get this Rift Herald into the mid lane, actually walking through. We are going to see a dive come through onto the Galio here. Not quite enough damage to finish him off. But we are going to see Eames chase with this Jarvan.
No ult to get out this time.
No, they won't be able to pick up the kill on the... Actually, yeah, they will. Yeah, they will. They'll be able to get it onto the...
There we go.
Yeah.
That's well played.
Yeah, like chasing them down, pincering them off quite nicely. And there is a lot we can comment on, and I feel like we're not getting the time to properly acknowledge these plays because there's definitely a lot going on from both sides that are very interesting. But right as we can see here, this is X Machina's stabilization and their stabilization play. Very, very nice to actually see something quite coordinated around this bot side. Get some more gold in last pocket because it was quite lacking. It doesn't put the Kai'Sa ahead as well. Although saying that, Kai'Sa's going a build that will make us still very, very potent in this early game. Can still trade so much burst. Like, seriously, it will just one-shot last if he's not in the right position and not playing it properly. But at the end of the day...
you're not dealing the same amount of consistent damage with the Wave build. You're kind of conceding the fact that, hey, I didn't get those early kills. Okay, fine. I'm just going to go for a more poke-based composition, which still works fine for a Kai'Sa, but up against a Xayah, who's a lot more traditional with the Kraken Slayer completed already. Going to struggle to output that level of damage. You're really relying on Torpedo Tim to be able to make up for that, and I can see that being relatively easy to do. The completed item as well onto the Galio is huge, as Eden getting jumped on again.
Torpedo Tim will land that knockup, but is not aware of Drippy Darren. The Fate Sealed is going to catch Eden. The shutdown going down nicely. Has to pop the quickening to even live there. Really not in the favor of how X Machina wanted that trade to go. I think really underestimating how much damage that Yone has, and the survivability as well, with just how ridiculously buffed his W shield is. Just so free on even just one hit, and it gives you like 250 health. It really is enough to just stop that. Really nice cancel from Boxes there. Has to pop the Cataclysm. The flash has been taken here. Timotopper going so low. Minion will not be Winion, unfortunately.
Nope.
Timotopper getting away on 1 HP, but I don't think the boys are finished. Look at the lad send it down. Timotopper quite deep in this lane, so he should be safe last here to try and, shove them out a little bit. We'll start up this Herald whilst... Or in the meanwhile, Kai'Sa has secured first turret goal.
Yeah, Akka's just going to sit himself down in this bottom lane and do his thing, looking to get really fed. Something that he wasn't able to do off of purely those kills in the bot lane. Still, you're going to trade it up onto Ex Machina for this Herald. You can pop that into any of the 3 lanes at the moment. All of them are a pretty good idea. I want Eden to play a little bit more respectfully because you've got yourself that Leandri's finish. You deal a ridiculous amount of damage, but you do not win in a 1v1 or even a 1v2 versus this Yone when he has Fate Sealed. When he doesn't, it's a completely different story. But at the same time, you've got a composition as well that you're up against where you can end up with Mreh jumping in and helping him out as well. So just play a little bit more respectful. Use this Herald, get yourself a turret, get a little bit more gold in on a reset as well that lads on tour have taken, so really good timing. Lasp is going to get pretty much all of this, which is a big chunk of gold, 300, enough for a kill right onto Lasp, and that's where you want the gold to be going right now. Timotopper's been doing good for himself, and the objective control, more than anything, seems to be favoured for Ex Machina.
Oh, well, kind of like switcheroo on the teleports here. Malphite coming in is going to try and look for a play somewhere.
Oh, it's a steal!
You do see the Featherstorm come through and the steal from really, really nice there coming through. The shutdown onto Akka's as well will end up putting a really nice amount of equalization of the gold in their pocket. Now the Drake stacking is back in the hands of the lads on tour. I think Rel steal is really, really nice as well. The amount of burst damage is really, really good. I think can probably steal from like 1.5 at this point in the game.
Yeah, as a jungler, you're kind of sat there and the rest of the team's question mark pinging you, but it's not your bad. They are smiting.
It's like against a Cho'Gath.
Yeah, it's more damage than you can actually put down, and you're relying really on either keeping the Rel out of the pit, something that Ex Machina really failed at in that fight. They ended up split, no real focus onto the Drake or onto trying to secure the fight, ended up losing out on both, or you have to just hope that the roll messes up. Gums is unlikely to do that, been playing really strong, as
Oh
Torpedo
my
Tim gets
goodness.
another kill onto Eden, and we came into today so up on Ex Machina. They've had by far the stronger route through these prize playoffs, but all of a sudden, I'm beginning to question that. Lads on tour looking super strong.
And I think it's good giving Ex Machina a run for their money, not letting them take this game away from them, actually wanting to get in these finals and secure their spot is really, really good. We've not seen a confidence from a team like this so far in this tournament, and I'm really, really happy to see it such a strong contest. And as you were saying, like, I just want to go briefly back to that Baron play, keeping Rel out of the pit. The teleport from Eden there, getting read so nicely by Boxers, splitting their own teleport there, because they put Ex Machina in a really hard position. You either give up top tower or Malphite TPs down and kills you. It's really, really good. So by sending that Ahri top lane, they've actually taken away a lot of their strong extended trade potential. No way. Walks into the taunt. Is not going to get CC'd here. The Justice Punch will just go a little bit wide. Ends up burning quite the Ignite CD there. Oh, I think we are going to see something come down here. The Yone can only live for so long, but it's really, really hard to tell. But we are going to see Yone get taken down here. Jace obviously does have an incredible amount of burst damage, has the double item spike as well, fully stacked tier item, along with the Eclipse. I think we've really been sleeping on how much work Timotop has been doing in this top lane. It should convert if they're able to move Jace around to other parts of the map, but unfortunately, even though there is a lead in this top lane with the gold, we've not actually seen it.
No, it's a really tricky matchup as well, because the Malphite just does more than you in the team fights. You have got a much more complicated game plan as Timotopia. You've got to poke out, landing as many of those accelerated shot blasts, maybe all in onto somebody if you can kill a key carry, but who are you going to kill? There's 3 tanky members, there's a Kai'Sa who can go invisible and just run away, and then there's a Yone who probably just turns it back onto you and takes you straight out. I can see a lot more split pushing actually coming out from Timotopia rather than trying to get involved in these team fights, but at the same time doing that leaves the other 4 members of Ex Machina really vulnerable. You're going to be able to pick themselves up another of these turrets. They are ahead in gold as well, you cannot forget that. This is a really close game. It's more questionable for Ex Machina than it's been in a while, but that's not saying that much. Boxers?
I don't think you get this tower, buddy. I'm not going to lie to you. Has the ult available. I think they could wombo here with the hero's entrance, but it's not going to be enough. We are seeing the teleport come through from Eden. Should be enough to clean up another teleport. They're looking for an all-out fight, and it looks like Ex Machina is going to have to back off here. Lots of respect on Torpedo Tim and how strong this Yone is with the Rel shadowing as well, but they might look for actually a really nice CC chain, and is taking out the Cataclysm lands. Last picks up the kill. Gums has to flee. Eden is hunting the charm, goes wide, but can still chase the slow coming through from Jarvan. Flash has to be burned. It is a Baron angle, I think.
But you get stolen, outsmited by the Rel, making this really risky. There is absolutely no vision into this pit. It depends on if Gums wants to sacrifice his own life, I think. Eden is going to stand here. Oh, misses onto Akers. Uh-oh.
Oh no. Oh, Eden. Oh, Eden. I think this might spell the end. The Flag and Dragons are going wide. Timotopia goes over the wall. Gums ends up trading positions. Stuck dealing with this Kai'Sa now, who should be able to take him down. Never mind. What a combo. Procs the Eclipse as well. Keeps him alive just for 1 second. Last could only kite this out so much. Box is not able to find access onto this. Eames is in a rough spot. Has to just get out of there. But overall, it's a risky Baron call.
Only one person die each?
It's a risky Baron call that just doesn't pay off at all. I think that Miss Charm kind of sealed the fate of that fight there. If they find the pick on Akers, can maybe commit to it, keep going. You have more damage as well on that Rel. I think this Ahri does so much against this Rel. It's in an extended team fight. But the second Ahri gets picked, and Ahri has no ult, by the way, or flash at that point, the fight's kind of over, and you kind of have to relinquish the Baron there.
It's an outplay, though, out of Timotopia in the 1v1 versus Akers to be able to turn it from being a complete disaster into a playable fight when multiple members get away. So many blinking health bars, and we're going to keep on with the action right now as the next Drake has spawned. That's early to get into the pit for Eames.
I kind of respect it. Look, I mean, they can't really walk on him as well. He knows that he's got his team covering him. I think it would take a lot of burning of resources, although Last has shown mid now. I think there is a chance that they can turn this. Gums will be hunting. Look at where Galio is playing from as well, making sure that he's covering any flank potentials, has the hero's entrance available as well, ready to go off on and engage. This Drake is ticking down, down, down. 4K, dropping lower. Tim goes in with that E, but not going to be able to find much with the face seal, keeping the rest of the team off this Drake. There is people trapped in the Cataclysm jar, and neither jungler is on this Drake now, and there is just constant fighting.
Who gets it? No junglers.
Triple kill picked up for Timatopper, and surely they can take the Drake, keep them off. Gonna see a traded kill here for Kai'Sa, but I don't think Ex Machina is done here. Look at Eden hovering, Timatopper looking to pincer them in, but this is towards their base side. They're walking lads on tour into a spot where they can't really leave as well. You can see Akka's just kind of farming, because what else do you do here? And I don't think they really want to commit to this fight, because I think even though they have the numbers advantage, never mind, no, they will. They've got the reset, they've got the position. This is a great engage from the Galio, but I don't even think they'll be able to get a kill here on Akka's. Just so much burst damage there from the REQ, the Jace Q before even going in, that you're not able to follow up, and Drippy Darren just end up slapping him in the face to finish him off. It's a really messy fight, right?
Yeah, really messy. But it speaks a lot to these compositions and the way that these players are executing onto them. TP coming through, this is likely going to turn into Baron.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I'm just going to quickly set this one up. If you're able as Ex Machina to do the poke that they did in the last fight, you win this one. If you're able to get the full wombo combo going as lads on tour, they win this one. This is really tense, could be the deciding fight.
This is a lot on Boxus as well to find a massive engage here. Has the ultimate available. Same with Torpedo Tim. I wonder if they'll even choose to fight this. Could look to relinquish the Baron and just look for a steal here from Gums, but it is being kept off by Timatopper, as you said, keeping so much space. Incredibly
he's
strong
so
right
tired.
now. And he's just obliterating them. This is a Drake pickup for free, and Jace is able to like 1v5 this team, like incredibly ahead. And we were saying earlier that he's not really had an opportunity to show off in these team fights yet, and had that slow growing lead, and we are now seeing the conversion into actual tangible things we can see on our screen, and it's just so well played. And unfortunately, just with the Knight's Vow here from the Rel, it's just not tanky enough to deal with this Jace, and the Jace is just so fed. He can go on any target he wants, and it's going to be a nice clean Baron pickup for Ex Machina here.
Yeah, nice. 3 completed items out of Timatopper. He managed to make his lead in the top lane individually, and then has turned this into some really good team fights. Usually, the Gatekeeper is something like a Rakan, you know, maybe even the Jarvan if you're playing extra spicy. It's not usually one of the squishier carries, but Timatopper does so much damage that unless you get a full combo onto him, you really can't step up. And I said it, if you get the poke down first as Ex Machina, that's the thing you have over this composition on Lads on Tour. In straight, hang on, Timatopper run. Gums,
a little bit scary. Gums is going deep and pops the ult for a... I think that's a really not great look here. I think could have tried to secure the actual engage here with a Q. I think maybe not quite the one they're looking for. None of the rest of the team around, but has a lot of ability to follow up there if he does land the CC on Timatopper, going a bit wide, but maybe it's not necessarily a bad trade as well. Oh my goodness, incredible engagement. We're going to see the hero's entrance follow up. Not going to pick more than Eden.
Hang on.
Akka's is so deep right now. Timatopper goes, wait, Torpedo Tim, sorry, goes wide with the ultimate. Boxus is locked in the Boxus right now. We are going to see Last take up this double kill, and it's just a really strong fight. The Zyra is being allowed to free hit, pops the ultimate. Eden secures the kill. Last is hunting for more, and there is so much follow up. Oh no, Tim. Not a great look, and that is a 1 team fight for Ex Machina. And they're going to look to end the game.
Yeah, it could be the end of this team fight. It's been a really impressive game out of both of these teams. Ex Machina, though, using their poke in their composition to a little bit more effect. Looking to end, you've still got 30 seconds on a couple of key members.
And they are going to just prevent this Galio from even getting back to base. Won't be able to clear the waves. Has the Baron buff, and it's just going to end the game. And we were talking earlier about how we felt that lads on tour was keeping Ex Machina shaky. Well, I think we've eaten our words a little bit here, Bloxer, because it is a very, very impressive game and an impressive recovery. Yeah. Although I say recovery, but it didn't feel like they were down. They were just sleeping, waiting a little bit.
If you've watched any more UK esports, if you watched any of UKEL Div 1, you ended up seeing a lot of Tempest being down in terms of kills, and it felt like back pressure, but they were up by 2,000-3,000 golds, and that was what we were seeing out of Ex Machina. They were just more effective at getting the gold onto those key carries, and at the start, I think it really did end up hurting lads on tour that Akka's was not getting those kills. There are a lot of kills onto the Galio, and sure, full AP Galio kind of hurts. This version of Galio, he really doesn't, and you wanted it onto that key carry. The gold just wasn't quite perfect, but there were some really strong individual performances, I'd say, by lads on tour, so I could see this next game still being a little bit closer than we've seen anybody take Ex Machina so far.
Make sure you stay tuned. I'm really excited to see how this game plays out, and you should be too. We'll be back after a short break.
You say you love me, say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody.
To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. Anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody.
You say you love me, say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody. 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 Anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. Anybody. But to you. But to you. But to you.
To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. Anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. Anybody.
But to you. But to you. But to you. But to you.
Hello, everyone, and we are back with the University Esports League of Legends Winter 2023 Prize Playoffs Upper Bracket Finals. We've just come off of our Game 1 with an Ex Machina victory that kind of looked like a sweep of momentum back in their favor, and I think has definitely set like a precedent of how they're playing at the moment. Max, do you have any points you'd like to make that really stuck out to you about that game?
The compositions felt really spicy. I was excited for that game, and it was just a little bit of mis-execution coming through from lads on tour. They had a full wombo combo composition, and whilst there was plenty of response out of Ex Machina, it wasn't the same level. What Ex Machina had was that level of poke. And as lads on tour, you don't get to sit and just sit a little bit off of these objectives and wait, because all that happens is you end up getting a accelerated shock blast to the face again and again and again, and now you're trying to team fight with half health. Oh, and your jungler's died. Congratulations. So you can't do that. You have to pull the trigger a lot more aggressively. But the early laning phase, at least the first 10-15 minutes, felt really, really good out of these lads on tour, and I'd like them to pull out something like that again, because this was the most that it felt like Ex Machina had been stretched in a while.
100%. And there's definitely something I want to talk about before we jump into this draft. And it was kind of this Yone that showed up for a little bit and then kind of dropped off a cliff. I don't know if you were watching those team fights, but there was some real missed opportunities there from Torpedo Tim. Felt like some real communication or mechanical mistakes there with the Fate Sealed that should have hit so many, ended up just going wide every time. And I think if the Yone had found an engage on the first two team fights that were missed, then it would have completely changed the course of things. But by the time that, you know, a couple had already gone, it was already so far like ahead for the side of Ex Machina after these team fights had been won that even if the engage was found, it wouldn't have really mattered. So I definitely want to see a lot more, I guess, a stronger mechanical performance come out of Tim that we did see in that lane phase. There was a lack of confidence and team fight focus there. So that's one thing I really want to see coming into this next game. But we should be jumping into the draft kind of short-ish, I think. I think if we look at the side that has been requested, we are seeing that the lads have requested the red side. Now, that is really interesting. But this tells me that I think they don't really have any priority picks they'd like to play for on the blue side, and they want to look for counter picks towards this top lane.
So do you give over the Jace? I think that's the obvious question that then leads off of that one. Because Jace into Malphite, you've got that ranged matchup, and it was going pretty well, but still, it wasn't the complete domination that we've sometimes seen those Jaces pop off with. Do you have something to really counterpick into that top lane? I don't know what that's going to be, particularly the Jax was banned out by Ex Machina, so they clearly knew that there was going to be something aggressive coming through. I can imagine that these first 3-4 bans are going to be pretty much exactly the same, at least the first two. Take away those pocket picks in the jungle, but it's going to be that final ban, I think, where we might get a little bit of adaptation. What do you think is the problem as lads on tour? Do you think that it is the Jace? It seemed like it was the biggest threat coming out of that laning phase. Do you instead think that maybe we actually needed to get rid of the Ahri and we just couldn't get enough of a lead in the mid lane? Or maybe bot lane? Again, that was a really strong lane where we ended up seeing some crazy outplays. A lot of those feather callers were just nuts.
And it's really interesting as well. Like, I think you mentioned about, do we remove the Ahri there? When we're talking about the top lane and like the Jace, I think that was definitely the most impactful thing, but it's not something that was necessarily, you know, could have been not played around. We didn't see enough presence, in my opinion, from those rel engages onto the top side. Not that that I think we would have particularly seen much of an impact, because it is kind of easy to play around those as the Jace. However, I think that, I don't know. Yeah, we are seeing the same bans come through, which means I think that the lads on tour felt like they were on the right lines last game. And I think they are too, but I think it was just kind of, dare I say, a jungle differential in terms of play around the map. And we are going to see the rel taken away here by Ex Machina. Very, very interesting. So I think they understand that they can play it and that it is stronger engaged in the Jarvan. And looking at the way that lads on tour played that previous game, it doesn't quite feel like they got the rel, if that makes sense. Like the engages were kind of there, and it was a really nice steal as well. They, you know, played that really well, but overall there was a lot of missed opportunities and, like, you know, these tight angles that can be played around that weren't there. I wonder if we'll see a bit more of a stronger team fight execution here coming from the rel. That's a rel support and a Lilia jungle, and that might be a Tristana mid lane, I think.
It could well be. Rel Tristana can also be pretty good. You've got a lot of all-in potential that can really ruin a Kai'Sa's day. Gum's going to go for that Sejuani. So, again, high gank priority. And this is really different. The Java being available, though, is interesting to me because when you see a Lilia on the other side, you kind of just want to spend as much time as you can ganking, and Jarvan is a lot more proactive than a Sejuani. Sejuani is still good on that gank priority, but Lilia, she just wants to sit in the jungle and farm until you get to that level 6 point, maybe first, second item, at which point you run around and you can just wreck team fights. Does a ton of damage really fast as well. This is risky out of S Machina, because if you don't get Lilia ahead, she gives pretty much negative use to your team fights, whereas Sejuani, you could put 1,000, 2,000 gold in the dirt, still going to be absolutely fine. In the bans, we are going to see the Yone taken off of the board, as well as that Jace. These are two picks that we saw last time around that had a lot of success in individual ways. Clearly, Ex Machina were actually scared of that Yone and think that the composition they've drafted again might be able to work. You've changed the jungler, but you've still got that Kai'Sa and that Galio, and that wombo combo will always be a threat. Final ban, going to be the Fiora. I know that you're happy about that one, and so we'll see if lads on tour want to counterpick for themselves into the mid lane. Maybe you already have your mid laner with the Galio, or top lane. I suspect you to counterpick with your top laner. That makes more sense to me.
I like the Aurelia here because it's kind of goofy. I think it's definitely a skill matchup, and I think it's time for lads on tour to show the skill, and how they're playing this. Now, picking the Aurelia here, this could go mid or top. My brain has to imagine it's going top lane, right? Like, that's the play that I would do, and this kind of proves that the Tristana is going mid lane here. We're seeing this Vayne hover, and that would be not Vayne top. I think that would be stupid. I think Last is also a very good Vayne. I think Eden has a lot of experience on this Tristana mid. Obviously, he's fallen out the meta for a little bit, so we've not seen that really crop up in this tournament yet. I wonder if this is kind of just an ego play. And also, I really like the Lilia here. You were talking about how obviously the Jarvan, blah blah blah, can gank, locks the Lilia in, really good counter, all that kind of stuff. But Sejuani's already been taken. And to be honest, I don't think she's good enough as a champion right now to whack her in the top lane. I think you have to commit to keeping this Sejuani, which is why we've not really seen any priority on any Jarvan bans to the side of Ex Machina. They're not worried. They're not particularly worried that, well, actually, guys, we're going to put Sejuani support, and we're going to put Galio mid lane, and we're going to put Jarvan jungle. Like, no one's doing that, guys. And we are going to see the Aatrox up, and I really like this. I do want to see Timotopper show up on this Aatrox. Guy was a beast last week, and we really want to see it again. And he's been proven, he's been a beast today on this Jace pick. And the Gwen, another skill matchup here. The Aurelia is mid lane into the Tristana, quite nice. I like it. Can kind of deal with the all-ins, trades quite well early, ready to fight, throw hands. It's good, but a very interesting jungle pick here from Ex Machina, and I kind of like it.
I think it's a really spicy pickup by Ex Machina, and this is a little bit more of that confidence that I've been expecting from these guys. In the previous game, despite the fact they did have a pretty exciting composition, it felt like it lacked a little bit of that Ex Machina spice. This time around, they've got that first game, they've got a little bit of a buffer, and this one is pretty crazy. I can't wait to see Last onto this Vayne, because you've got so many tanky targets to try to deal with. Galio as well, you're trying to Justice Punch in, you can just knock him back a lot safer as well. Same time though, Aurelia, if you get onto the Vayne or the Tristana, that is a terrifying time too. You're really relying on these solo lanes popping off right now, because your jungler is not going to be a useful champion until we get at least to level 6, if not a little bit later on. And these individual lanes need to make sure not just that they don't fall behind, but also that they can create some individual advantages. I think if you're looking at a lane in which an individual advantage can be made, it would be top lane. Timotopper versus Boxers. We saw it being a surprisingly interesting matchup top, despite the fact it was a Malphite. If you manage to make a Malphite matchup look interesting, you're usually doing something right. But these champions, it's a huge skill matchup, and both of them, if they land their skill shots, can absolutely come out on top.
100%. Now, I'm really interested in seeing how Ex Machina want to play this. If they're just full ego coming into this game, they're already a game up. They're looking to just punish them, make lads on tour feel silly. But at the end of the day, it's lads on tour has to win this game. Otherwise, they're going down to this lower bracket. It's so much harder. And sure, they've been pretty dominant against every other team, but it might be a big confidence knock. So this game is so important. We'll be back after a short break. Make sure you stay tuned for the second game of this series. Will Ex Machina take this W and secure that final spot? Stay around.
Say you love me. Say you're thinking of me. But you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special. But to you I'm anybody.
To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. Anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody.
Say you love me. Say you're thinking of me. But you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special. But to you I'm anybody. 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 Anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. Anybody. But to you. But to you. But to you.
To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. Anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. Anybody.
But to you. But to you. But to you.
Hello everyone, and we are back with the second game of the University Esports League of Legends Winter 2023 prize playoffs upper bracket finals. Ex Machina are up a game. Lads on tour have something to prove, and they are looking for an early trade here. Timur Topper will just E over the wall, but that's an E-start, H-Ox, and you've got to cry a little bit about that.
Yeah, that does not feel good. Obviously, the stakes of this game are pretty high. Winner goes on to those finals. It's going to face up against whoever wins between Bath and Southampton right now. Loser, you've got another chance, you know? You're not in the absolute worst situation, but still, it feels good to be able to put yourself into those finals right now. Have a chill rest of your week. So we'll see if Ex Machina are going to be able to pick this up as another 2-0 to add to their pile of 2-0 so far, or if Lads on Tour are going to be able to throw a little bit of a spanner in the works, at least.
I've kind of been enjoying Lads on Tour spannering a little bit. It's been quite good. It was an interesting watch last game for the first 15 minutes, I'd say, and then it kind of just became a usual Ex Machina game. Last with an early trade here. That is a shocking amount of damage for a bone plating Galio. Yeah. I think that just speaks how insane Vayne Q is right now.
Vayne is really strong. Pretty much at all phases of the game as well. She used to be one of those champions where you're really looking to get going early.
Oh, this is so hard, by the way.
Timur Topper having E is just terrible right now. You miss out on so much healing, so much CC. Boxers already having stacked up that Conqueror and chunking out Timur Topper. Still though, Aatrox is going to be able to keep himself at least alive. Still, you're not happy about that trade. You're not happy about this start either.
Oh, and Boxers can just look for more as well. Having this E now is just going to put so much pressure on this lane. We were talking a lot about how top lane seems to be very, very impactful. No matter how much top laners will cry about their game, their role not having an impact on the game. Listen, if there's 2 Worlds MVPs in a row at top laners, clearly the role is important. And we've seen it displayed time and time again by Ex Machina and Timur Topper, who has been a consistent, powerful force in these games. We saw a domination on 2 HOX games last week, and we've seen that Jace in the previous game. I wonder if this is a real attempt to put him behind and, you know, kind of change the dynamic of this top lane, but even then, still probably gonna turn out fine. Look at the farm as well, ends up playing fine, is keeping up okay, and can trade. Speaking of, we've got a bot lane skirmish here. Just going forwards right now. Lasp is playing with a lot of confidence and earned confidence right now. The only thing you're particularly worried about is getting full comboed by Mre, but that one's not up at the moment. You can just continue to bully out. Hitting level 3 first is huge as well. It's a pretty big wave stacked up with a cannon minion too that you could be pushing on the top lane though. Boxus, he's dead. He's dead.
He's dead.
Oh, so all that
Oh.
waffling about, oh, well, they're going to put Timatopper behind, actually, and this will change the game dynamic. Shut up, Marcus.
They're actually just
this guy,
trolling you.
this caster guy has no idea what he's talking about, right?
Real caster curse right here. Gums is going to come up into this top lane, but by that point, Timatopa should be out of here. And if you don't know Timatopa's name, where have you been? This man has played for 3 years in 3 different roles as well. He's been a mid laner, he's been a support, he's been all over the map. Torpedo Tim, the next person on the chopping block, potentially knows something's up.
But it's 4 people here ready for an engage. We are going to see the bowling ball just go a little bit wide. He's not going to be able to find anything. Gums searching down here for Timatopper. Has the flash still available. Will choose to burn it early. Respectful of that Sejuani engage. And I think that probably shows a lot about Timatopper as a player. Is just respectful and plays a lot of limits. A very, very interesting player.
Yeah, when you've been in so many roles, it just gives you a sense for the game, which matchups you can win. Even starting with that a terrible start for the Aatrox is still fine, and giving over this Aatrox was a really big risk. Lads on Tour have seen what Timatova has been able to do with this champion in previous matchups. The last one, he played it twice, dominated on it, and if an Aatrox can get ahead, say, you know, they get themselves a first blood, perhaps, that can just be a disaster for whatever team they're up against, because Aatrox can heal for so much, be such a threat in the backline, while simultaneously having a really strong side lane presence, and just pulling you around the map this way and that, and make it really hard to set up for any objectives.
Oh, we are going to see this matchup, which I think is... I want to talk a little bit about this. So Eden here, very, very proficient Tristana player, and seems to be putting Torpedo Tim at a slight disadvantage here. Normal for this Aurelia, but hasn't been able to really skirmish in the mid lane as much as they thought they would have. Again, Eden being able to play limits very, very well on this Tristana. A lot of harassment, and it's a lot of us. It's a way stronger lane phase than we saw last game on the Ahri, which definitely did not look or feel like a comfort pick last game. So we are seeing a bit more of a change here. Torpedo Tim choosing to play these AD mids is very interesting. I don't think we're going to see anything found in the mid lane here unless we see a quick engage come through here. There's not enough mana to look for another set of trades. The passive is fully stacked up. Level 6 coming through. Eden waiting so patiently on that rocket jump out, but can still flash back in.
The 6!
Oh, level 6! No way! Ends up buster striking them just out of the way, and there's not going to be anything found. However, look at where Boxes is. We are going to see the bowling ball go just a little bit wide there from Eames, but there is so much happening around the map, and now there's a trade in the bot lane because Sejuani was there as well, and Bloxy, you take over. Oh my god, never mind, there's a Gwen ult popped, and oh my goodness.
Action
Slow it
everywhere.
down. Slow it down.
You really don't get to have a breather on this one. They're actually speedrunning, trying to kill the Mac right now, and doing a pretty... you know, good job of it, I'd say. This could potentially turn into a dive. You've got a lot of CC, and this is a huge wave underneath the tower. Rhett is going to go for this to get stunned back into the wall. Flashes forward. Last is going to flash back too, but that might be one dead Rel. Indeed, going to go down, and Akers will pick up that kill. Exactly what you wanted. As Lads on Tour, perfect kill onto a perfect player.
Oh.
And that's a huge wave still on the turret.
That is so tragic as well, and even with the Lilia walking down here, they can still play aggro, because realistically, what's a level 5 Lilia doing to you here? Like,
nothing.
Honestly, it is just so, it's like complete bullying and harassment here coming through from the side of Lads on Tour, lots of limits being played, and we were speaking about how Vayne is strong at all portions in the game at the moment, but at the same time, like, can't really do too much into this Kaiser Galio, which is just free harassing, free hitting, has the Sejuani down as well, so will prevent any like you know, strong engagers coming through from like the side of this Rel. So it's just really, really hard to play this overall, and we are seeing a bit more confidence now coming through even after that defeat from the Lads on Tour, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, I like the way that they've been playing this early game so far. I was gonna be really critical, actually, of Lads on Tour because they were getting beaten during the early game when they have a Sejuani and you're up against a Lilia. You can't let that happen. Lilia is pretty useless during the early stage of the game as Eden gets jumped on right here.
Won't be enough for a strong trade. However, ends up popping the bomb for a second rocket jump here. Strong CC chain coming through and ends up picking up the skeleton. They can keep looking. Will go wide on the bowling ball, but they do have the lilting lullaby. That aftershock is about to go. They can't really step forward with the Sejuani shadowing. Has the level 6. Lots of CC chaining. Can't really look for a dive either onto something as strong as the Galio, even with the aftershock gone. But yeah, what a interesting trade, and like has the Hex Flash as well on Drippy Darren, so can go in a surprisingly far distance and was off vision here. Has now ended up looking for the Drake on the side of Lads on Tour to try and trade something back across the map, but I'm pretty sure X Machina will be able to trade this first Herald, which is just such a strong objective. There's a reason they're phasing this out of the game, because it's just so good when plates are up, getting gold into these carries' pockets.
You can't just let that one go over in a lot of situations. It's a bit of a, hey, we'll just take what we can get right now for Lads on Tour, and they do manage to trade it back for something. At least Last might get dove right here. You've got the Sejuani behind. Last knows that something is up. Needs to be so careful, though. Doesn't get hit by that.
And he just can't walk again, and the Sejuani is here, has the ultimate available. We are going to see the Killer Instinct popped from the Kai'Sa, not enough to actually take them out. I think this is greedy. This is so greedy from Gums here, but is playing Sejuani, thankfully, will end up living. Not a third proc on that Silver Bolts feels kind of bad. And we are just going to see like just another, like what, 2 waves gone? So I think that must be like 4 waves equivalent of XP gone now.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit dire right now for Last. Luckily, Darren is getting things done elsewhere, and that Rift Herald take that play into the mid lane is going to make it feel a little bit better. And that's what you're doing to Last right now. You've made an agreement with him. Hey, you're going to have a pretty miserable time, but once we get to these team fights, you've got plenty of frontline protection. You don't need to be the only source of AD damage because we've got that Tristana mid. So you just sit there, absorb the pressure, try not to die to these dives. Has done a pretty good job of doing that when he has got pressured, still tends to be getting at least a 1-for-1 or just getting away, and the rest of the team is able to get things done on the rest of the map. Mid lane, there's a huge CS difference, and it'd be interesting to see what the gold is like right now, because Aurelias that fall behind can still be useful, but you gotta play it really effectively, whereas Eden is feeling himself on this Tristana and seems to have no problems with stepping up, and I think somehow he's safer on this Tristana than he was on that Ahri.
Yeah, for sure. And there's just a lot more harassment directly in this lane as well. I think you said that Irelia can definitely help when behind still, but only if played well. But as I mentioned in the draft phase, I wasn't particularly sold on Torpedo Tim's performance on the Yone when it came to translation of like worth and like gold worth in these team fights. And I'd argue, never mind, that point is going to have to hold on. We are going to see the Lilting Lullaby immediately popped onto this Galio here, not going to be able to look for anything yet. Will end up diving. Can't quite secure the kill. Drippy Darren drops and falls here to Akers. Kai'Sa burst damage will just be enough in tandem with that tower damage to actually pick up that kill. But yeah, it's just what a bit of a messy dive there. Again, not quite able to catch. Yeah, Last couldn't hit, and also the Lilting Lullaby couldn't come out yet, which kind of sucked because of the CC. So maybe if it popped a little bit earlier, they could have gone rare, but before then, it was really, really hard. So anyways, I was quickly just going to mention, never mind, I'm not going to mention anything.
You never get to say about anything.
Yeah, so we are just going to see Blast die. Sorry, sorry to spoilers. That's a Sejuani full HP against the half HP Vayne at level 7.
She does a surprising amount of damage. There's a reason that you can take Sejuani into the top lane, especially if you ever build yourself a Heartsteel. This is a little bit off topic, but Heartsteel Sejuani, occasionally you just bonk a poor AD carry to death, and they're sort of like, this is a tank, and you're like, no, I'm actually an AP carry.
I brain rot. You said Heartsteel Sejuani, and I'm like, she's not in that band. What do you mean? I hate it. It's just
K-pop, man. Honestly.
It's not K-pop. Mid lane. It's a rap group. There is a kill in the mid lane right now. Torpedo Tim might outplay it, but not going to be able to queue enough waves for that one. Eden can't quite secure the kill. Lives on 1 HP, and that is tragic. Here, we are going to see the cute little emote pop. Unfortunately,
stay for wave and everything.
That's crazy, and you can't even reliably kill as well. You have no mana. That's an Aurelia sustain with a level pop as well. I feels kind of bad, but yeah. It's not K-pop, it's a rap group. It's different, okay?
Fine.
Gosh, not everything's K-pop. Yawn. Anyways, we are going to see that Herald popped in this top lane and more gold in the pocket of Timotopper, and it's what we want to see as well. It feels quite nice. And the TP coming through from Torpedo Tim just a match here. A double TP. They really want them dead. We are going to see World Ender popped. Gum's not going to be able to quite land that flash knock up on the Q there. Should be able to get the CC down.
Facing a Lilia sucks.
Oh, it's such a narrow place to fight in as well. The Lilia will get the Lilting Lullaby. Is going to be blocked. The damage by the Aurelia W. But look at where this fight is taking place. It's in a small enclosed space against an Aatrox and a Lilia. It does not feel good to take that fight. And the bomb will KS. Nice gold in the pocket of Eden, but yikes. A really, really turned fight. That's 2 TPs. Not just 1, 2 TPs burnt for a lost fight. And you've got to feel that sting.
That's another kill going over to Eden as well, who's able to make his way all the way up. And chasing Lilia in general feels bad because she's a fast Bambi. She hits one of her spells and just gets such a big movement speed buff. At the same time, Aatrox also gets a lot of movement speed off of that ultimate. And just deals a lot of damage in an enclosed space, like you said. Boxers might have stepped up a little bit too far right now. I've seen Gwen's come back from bigger deficits, to be fair.
Oh, that could have been a kill. If Eames and Ego that was definitely a kill on Gwen. Oh, we are going to see a 1v2 in the bot lane here. Erling Nolan missing the really, really important W here. Last not quite flashing out that hero's entrance. The killer instinct barely keeping him alive, and the kill goes through to Mert. Ends up popping the Sejuani, or Radiant Virtue keeping Ak is in the fight long enough to stay alive, but Eden here to clean up, here to finish the job. More rocket jumps coming through. I don't think they'll be able to secure that CC on to Eden to get out and live. However, these are 2 very, very bulky characters. So it ends up just being able to walk out, but you kind of see the vision in there for the side of the lads on tour, but you did not expect a Rocket Lady jumping onto your face and shooting you. So, you know, unlucky guys. Just, you know, maybe should have called the mid-rotation.
Quite possibly. Instead, gonna give over a kill. Last really tried to flash right out of that Hero's Open entrance. Didn't manage to do so. There's a Drake up right now. Torpedo Tim might be getting dogpiled right here.
Oh no, I don't like where this is going. Timotopper will be able to reliably land that CC. Gets the drag back, not quite. Ends up popping that Q. Lots of damage coming through, and you can't quite Vanguard's Edge out of that one. Very, very tough. It is Vanguard's Edge, right? The W, I can't remember. It's a card in the card game. That's the only reason I know that ability's name. No one plays that game, Marcus. What are you on about? Anyways, Drake is up here, and I wonder whether or not they've actually going to be able to go for this. A really, really good flash Q, and unfortunately, Akers will just be CC chained. Another kill. Well, no, another kill. First kill in the pocket for last, actually. Wow, I did not realize how much a deficit this Vayne had been.
A great time. He really hasn't. By the way, the Vanguard's Edge is the ultimate on the Aurelia. That's all right. It
My
is
bad.
a great name for an ultimate, as this
It's
Infernal
so
Drake
cool.
does finally get started up.
TP coming through from Tristana as well.
Yeah, this is a 5-man play right here. The Gwen is not here, does not have TP.
Yeah, we are going to see the wards end up pop. Will end up picking up Mret immediately. Not much other CDs burn, and they kind of can just take this Drake, stops that Drake stacking, but I'm not going to lie to you, man. If this game keeps going the way it's going, I don't think we're ever hitting Soul. I'm going to keep it real. It is pretty dominant display here overall from Ex Machina and just the way they're playing these team fights now. And I think it doesn't really matter the 1v1 potential of these players, although I was saying that Timotopper and Eden have been playing it very, very well. But even then, the team fight and the coordination, just the engages have been so solid that you can't help but wonder if it will just keep getting worse for the side of the lads on tour, who are just down resources, down map pressure, down vision lines.
And
it's really, really hard. And items, true. I did not realize how far down they were. Really, really nice engage. And oh my goodness, what an insane W buffer. I think that was incredibly well read.
Yeah, knowing that you just have to buffer that one correctly, otherwise this Eden, you are absolutely dead, has not been killed so far as well, on the way to that second item completion too. Kraken Slayer already done. And hang on a second, as Akers goes in, should be able to pick up a kill for himself here, unless...
A little bit of an overextension. I think that's a very, very ego play here, being able to be cut off as well. No flash over the wall to keep them safe. Mrare will get taken down as well, securing even more control of this map. Should be able to look towards the Rift Herald now while Eden gets this mid tower was last. The map is completely open. All tier 1 towers are gone. And this essentially means that the jungle is now completely in the favor of Ex Machina. The way the vision lines work in terms of these turrets will mean that they just have so much space.
Yeah, you really don't get to step up right now, and it makes farming so difficult. Lilia also farms and clears the jungle much quicker than almost any other champion in the game, pretty much the fastest that we have. And so the second that she steps up, sees some chickens just sat there, you end up losing them. Last in a 1v1, gets the knockback under the turret, still going to go down because this is a Aurelia still
World Ender popped him, Red, just keeping them safe. Eden cancelling the jump, but also his jump being
Eden.
cancelled. Timotopper won't be able to find any hits there, but that sure is Tristana. We are going to see Gums have to flash that wall. So much damage coming through from the Lilia. And as you said, that is one fast dare, and that should be one dead ball coming through. Should just be able to keep getting towers. We are going to see Shelly popped. Yeah, Shelly is popped, and she will not even need to charge this turret. So that should be an inhib turret gone. An inhib gone if they so choose to keep pushing forward. And once again, Akers is relegated to split push duty. But what are you split pushing? Saying that, mind you, Boxers is also on a tier 2 turret. So I think they could find something. Objective bounties are up. Gwen is immune. Last is going to want to look for this trade. And Boxers doesn't really have enough mana to take the extended fight here. Saying that, Last has been taken down to HP. The final hour is running down. This is really ego to keep chasing. Correct decision to back off there. There are people looking for you. Like, surely, there's no way. Anyways, wow. Lots happening. Many things to speak about.
The gold lead only 5k, and I'm going to say only just because it feels like it should be even more right now. Ex Machina in absolute control. The split pushing has been pretty effective. You can see the top lane, the gold difference is huge. Bambi needs to run right here.
Oh,
do you manage to get away?
Found by the Sejuani ult. No way.
Surely not.
Timber Topper as well, just coming back in with a trade. World and the pop, the reset coming through. Drippy Darun, insane Rel W, just catching with that Magnet Storm will just put more gold into the pockets of Ex Machina. There isn't an objective to play for yet, but that Baron is up in 30. It's going to be really, really hard for them to step up and take that vision. This should just be free control of this top side jungle. Getting ready and prepping for this fight. The TP to shove this wave in to get this tier 2, making sure they deny as much resources as possible before this Baron, because I'm pretty sure Ex Machina want to close out this game. And I think they might not even go for the Baron. Yeah.
You've got a big push going on top lane right now from Timotopper. If you can take 2 inhibitors down, that's an incredibly difficult position to come back from. More than anything, though, getting those super minions into the base just creates yourself so much space to be able to take this tier 2, to be able to get vision in the opposition jungle, and then move back onto this Baron. We can see some resets coming through out of Eden. He's still just going to have the TP. Timotopper, I feel like he still wins this.
I don't know. No World Ender ready. I'm pretty sure he just gets burst down before he can do anything. Saying that, Akers will just get cleaned up by the rest of the team. The hero's entrance is not even an exit. It's a hero's flop to the floor, dead, unfortunately. Double kill coming through here for the Dia. We are. There is still the ultimate available, but oh my gosh, Boxers is split pushing. I'm sure they'll be able to win the game off of that one. I don't think they'll be able to win the game off of that one. I think it's not going to be in their favor. Sure picks up the objective bounty, but you have 4 people hitting at your base. You TP to the turret. Might be able to be enough to actually stop it. Boxers coming back, ends up popping the needlework. Don't think they'll be able to find that Lily. A flash burnt, saying that Gums has gone pretty deep. The stun going through. The last is still free hitting at the tower. Eden is also free hitting back. This Nexus is now open. Really, really nice ultimate coming through from Gums. Immediately has to pop the Magnet Storm in reaction. Last is so overextended. What am I watching? What, Last? You have no mana!
Because that play lasted for probably about 70 years, they just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, using up as much of that Baron power play as they... Well, not Baron power play, as much of that push as they could before even deciding to take the Baron. Gonna move back and take this Drake, potentially. Not that you really need it, I gotta be honest. It's something to take before you take a reset, but still, you're so far ahead. You're up by about 8,000 gold. You've got no Nexus turrets left alive. There's no wards in the base to TP onto. You need to make a last stand right now as lads on tour. What can you do? Do you go straight for the Baron? Can you even get there in time? There's plenty of vision. It looks like the answer to that one is definitely going to be no. But they are setting up to try to put down a last stand. Even if you steal away this Baron, you're still behind by a massive amount of gold, but that would be the way to start getting a comeback going.
We are just going to see this, like, setup here. I wouldn't even say there was going to be set up for a Baron play, because look at what Timotopper is doing, just walking into the base. Has the Edge of Night available, is ready to just take these strong trades. Blocks a lot of the damage, but World Ender has to be popped. Boxers will look for the kill. Surely Timotopper falls here. The needlework just catching and slowing him, does not go over that wall, but the Baron has been started. I think they're looking to end the game. Eden has no rocket jump available, is walking into the loving arms of the
gonna
enemy
die.
team, but is the sacrificial lamb to secure this Baron. It's sticking down. No steal available here for the Sejuani. That's at least 3 with the Baron, and that's on last as well, so can actually look to end the game. We're very deep, looking to stop these resets and actually keep this base safe. Yeah, there's a lot happening, and I feel like it should just be up to X Machina to just end the game now.
Yeah, they seem to be playing with their food just a little bit. Timatopa, really impressive game throughout the early stages, but a little bit over-aggressive right there. Same thing with Eden, although you still managed to push the jungler away by a little bit of time, secure yourself your team the Baron, so it's not the end of the world. So you don't get the Baron onto all the members. You would really like it onto Timatopa, split pushing on the side lanes. You'd really like it onto Eden too, because he can either group up with the team or go into side lane. You've got that rocket jump to keep you pretty safe. Not ideal play, but still, once you're this far ahead, Ex Machina really don't need to do anything that insane. And I'd like to put a little PSA out to Bath, Southampton, or if we end up seeing lads on tour back, maybe ban the Aatrox. Maybe. It's so
Real.
strong. He's so
Real.
good on it, Timatopa.
Honestly, and we are going to see the startings of a team fight here. The Lilting Lullaby interestingly popped onto just the Galio here, and really strong engage from Drippy down here. Magnet Storm coming through. Hero's Entrance will keep them alive for just a little bit longer. Timatopa able to follow up here. The World Ender coming through. We can't really see Aka's free hit. Is just getting chunked down by this constant AoE. Eden has been isolated and is taking out the fight, but it won't be enough. Gums is chased under tower, and it is now a 2v4. The final hour has been popped by Last. Another kill on the board, and this should just be a free team wipe. And this should be game 2 and the upper bracket finals taken for the side of Ex Machina. They have secured their spot in the Winter 2023 Prize Playoffs Finals. And what a game, a complete domination once again from a team that we definitely thought would give more of a contest. It was very impressive. I think we should be getting an interview for one of the players from Ex Machina again. The different one than last week though. Make sure you stay tuned. Exclusive, never before seen interview. You must stay to watch. We'll be right back after a break.
Say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody. 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 Anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. But to you I'm anybody. Anybody. But to you. But to you.
To you, I'm anybody. To you, I'm anybody. To you, I'm anybody. Anybody. To you, I'm anybody. To you, I'm anybody. To you, I'm anybody. Anybody.
To you. To you. To you.
Hello, everyone, and we are back with the University Esports League of Legends Winter 2023 prize playoffs upper bracket finals. The victory has just gone once again to X Machina. It feels like the X Machina show on University Esports broadcast, and we are here with Eames for an exclusive interview. How are you doing, Eames?
I'm feeling good. Thank you.
Very, very good to hear it. So coming into today, obviously, you know, there's Akers from Ruddy, very good Div 1 UKL player, but how did you feel about the rest of the team coming into this? Did you think it was going to give you more of a challenge than last week's team?
So, no, I didn't think that this was going to be much of a challenge. The only thing I was worried about was because most of our team went out last night, and me personally, I got like two to 3 hours sleep. So I thought it was going to be harder than it is, just because I'm kind of just trying to not fall asleep right now. But yeah, it was still surprisingly easy. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
It looked like a really strong performance, even if the whole team is running on a couple hours of sleep. That's the joy of University Esports now, isn't it? That first game, it felt a little bit closer than the second one. Was there ever a point in that first game where you felt like you might be losing, or did you feel like you guys had it the whole way through?
Well, I think I was just looking at my mid laner, and I think he was like hinting a little bit.
Just a tad.
But I think Akanos is a very good player, and even though he may have not slept today very well, I think when he has sleep, he's the best mid laner. And,
I have insider information that Eden very rarely has like a normal sleep schedule, so I'm not particularly surprised to hear that. But yeah, so speaking of, you think he's the best mid laner, will you guys be sleeping well? Because tomorrow you have the UKL Div 2 Grand Finals, and how are you feeling about that against your match versus Paragon?
Yeah, I'm very excited to play against Sunfire Wukong second item. I think that's gonna be really fun to play against.
5 games of that, and every single game, I'm sure your Evelyn will be banned. What a shame.
Yeah, it does seem like you're not allowed to pick that one up for yourself at any point. Now, the teams that we've still got remaining, you know, obviously the one that you just played up against, then you've also got yourself, what is it, Bath and Southampton. Which of these teams do you think is going to be able to get themselves into the finals, and are any of them a particular worry to you, or do you think in our finals next week you're just going to be able to do it?
Well, I think I'm gonna give a shout out to my GOAT jungler. I think he's the best jungler in the league by far, and that's Maru. So I think Maru and Bath are gonna make it to the finals for sure. There's no way they lose, and
Maru sweep.
we might get 3-0'd.
You might get. You think the Maru sweep dream is real?
Yeah. I mean,
kinda
I
respect it.
don't know how I can compete, to be completely honest.
100%. But we will be very excitedly watching you from our live studio finals broadcast, where I will be there. Black Blocks will be there. I'm very, very excited and keen to get to work on it. It will be a really, really cool broadcast, and it's going to be an even cooler set of games. So thank you for your time, Eames. Hope you've enjoyed these games today, and it should be a really, really exciting set of finals on. Oh, I'm so ready. I'm actually so hyped. I'm so excited. But any other words, Blocks, before we head off?
Just, quickly, Eames, any shout-outs that you particularly want to do? You shouted out a couple members of your team, but any remaining ones to any fans or anything?
Yeah, so I want to shout out two people. Firstly, I want to shout out Drippy Darren Evan, my support. I think he's the only reason our team has any sort of mental sanity. Otherwise, we would just lose. And secondly, I'd like to shout out our coach Nijwans. He's developed the adaptive tempo theory, which is what we use in many of the games. And I think that's also one of the reasons we're able to win every game in this league.
But what about your reverse tempo trap theory? I heard a lot about that last week from Eden. So, was that something developed behind the hood as well?
Yes, so it's me, Eden, and Nijwans. We're basically co-authors of the adaptive tempo theory, and
never before seen, ever. Really interesting.
Based on different situations, we use that or reverse tempo traps. We have lots of different strategy.
So cool. You guys are very smart and talented, and I'm very, very good set of games. And I've gone really blurry, so clearly I think it's time to end stream. Thank you for your time, Eames, and thank you once again to my wonderful production staff, Sorie and Remy behind the scenes, the admins, Yikes, and obviously Becca, amazing broadcast manager. And thank you for my amazing co-host, Black Blogser, always so talented. That guy's crazy. But yeah, if you want to see more of us, then make sure you're tuning in. Well, you won't see this. You'll see actually my face. It won't be blurry.
Actually just blurring you out.
If you want to see more of this and this, then make sure you're watching the live studio finals broadcast. Will be for our final. I'm so excited. Make sure you're around. I've been the Mac. This has been Black Boxer, and thank you for your time, everyone.
Thank you.
You say you love me, say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely. Tell me I'm special, but to you I'm anybody.
To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. Anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody. To you I'm anybody.
You say you love me, say you're thinking of me, but you're just lonely.